Hey, there I am. Hi friends, welcome. Hi witchlings, welcome back to my channel. It's me, your local chaotic witch on. And today we are going back to my old YouTube videos and reacting to them. Oh, this is gonna be awful. I have so many tabs open. Okay, So I'm doing this because I wanted to make it a revisiting the basics series, because I feel like I started my Basics of Witchcraft series about a year ago, or no, 2 years ago now. I feel like I've changed so much. I started my Basics of Witchcraft series a long time ago, and I think it's time I maybe just reacted and was like, hey, this is not how I feel anymore, because I feel like my opinion has changed so much just in a year. This is, I think, my first basics. So today we're gonna do a Basics of Protection reaction video. Okay, we got an ad. I'm paying myself.
Hi, witchlings.
Okay, so firstly, to my younger self, why did we think this angle was good?
Here. Today we're going to be talking about protection and warding, while I deal with this very large box of herbs that I got in my last video.
Why? I mean, it may even turn out that I agree with all the things I said in this video 2 years later. This was in, when did I post this? It doesn't say. 1 year ago. 1 year ago. It's got 100,000 views. That's terrifying. But I don't know why I'm doing something at the same time that I'm filming. I feel like that's really not great. It's distracting for viewers, and I realize that now. I do like my old intro though.
I almost forgot to do the recommendation station. This one is actually going to be at the beginning of the video, because this is a really great opportunity for you guys to get a really great book, and I'm super excited about it. This week's recommendation is The Power of Hex by our very own TikTok's Sean Angle, also known as Witchy Wisdoms.
I think there's, I don't know what I did with this shirt, but I kind of miss it. If anyone knows where I can find a shirt like this, let me know. I'm skipping this.
Nice.
Okay, so far we are 1 minute into the video and we haven't spoken anything about spoken at all about protection. So I'm kind of curious of what's going on. Why did I include
highly requested video?
Why did I include me putting eggshells in a jar? That doesn't make, I mean, I guess it's in reference to protection, but why? Okay, so we're 1 minute and 27 in, and we're talking about it.
Film it a couple times, but I keep forgetting what I'm saying. So I'm gonna go over some, basically why we protect, some basic protection methods that I use, and I won't be giving the exact spells. These are all, formatable for you. I always do recommend that people actually do their own protection spells, because I feel like most practitioners will not share their spells for safety reasons.
I am moving around so fucking much. This is ridiculous. I moved my neck, I'm moving my hands, I'm moving things around. There's no attention to the camera or to the topic.
Reasons. I know for me, I have been hexed a couple times, which is why I protect myself. I have around words up. So let's start. Firstly, why do we protect? We protect basically to protect our own energy, protect the home from negative entities and spirits. It basically makes it so only those that can enter are those that you want there.
I agree with that, I think, still. But I think protection's a little bit more complex than that. That's on a very spiritual level, but when we look at protection, it's boundaries, protecting your energy, protecting your peace. And I don't know if I talked about that at all in this video, but those are just as important methods of protection as keeping ghosts out.
I specifically make my wards so only my deities and my spirits that are friendly can enter. I make my wards specifically so negative entities cannot enter, but entities that are friendly can.
That's true. Still, I call them semi-permeable wards. because they're semi-permeable. But that's just with the intention that like those who wish to harm or those who cast harm or have ill will towards me, anyone in the house, cannot enter. Which I feel like is very baseline, and I don't feel like deities can be stopped by wards. I don't know.
Whether you want to create a ward or protection to keep everything out or keep only some things out.
I don't recommend making a protection to keep everything out. Because if you're making a protection to keep everything out, you're also keeping out the good as well as the bad. Yeah.
To you, but the goal is to keep energy vampires, negative entities, things that...
Energy vampires! I haven't said that sentence in years. What? Did I deal with it? I don't think I've actually like said those words or thought about them in like genuinely 2 years. Oh my god.
It could hurt you or bother you or attach to things away from you and whoever is living in your space. There are two basic forms of protection. There's spatial protection and personal protection. And
yeah, I agree with that still.
There are places where that meets. We call spatial protection usually warding the home, warding the space, warding the altar. You want to use these to give like a nice layer of protection. They can be achieved by a number of means, and protection spells can be tethered to a ward.
I like how I said that and then didn't tell anyone how to tether it. If you want to tether a protection spell to a ward, my favorite method is an object. So what I mean by that is if I'm tethering a spell to a plant or to something, I use part of the spell in the ward, or I use part of the ward in the spell. So if I'm doing a spell with my ivy plant, one leaf is given to the spell and one leaf is like ground up with the ingredients and used in the spell and then given back to the ivy plant. If I'm doing a reflective ward, I will use like, let's say a return to sender spell and use some of the wax to seal the ward and then place that around my property. If I am using, I think I like coffin nails, etc., string for wards, they are very much an active part of the spell and then they are put away and put as wards. I think I got a decent amount of comments on that too, and I just never, I don't know why I did that.
So warding is kind of different than like casting a protection spell for someone. Protection spells, depending on length of the candle, can't always last that long, and warding is a little bit more permanent.
Wording isn't permanent if you don't update them. You can do a word and then leave it for 7 years, and I'm pretty sure that word is not going to continue to work if you don't continue giving it energy. In the same way that protection spells, if you continue giving them energy, will be more permanent. All about what you do.
I do my words about once a month, and I redo my...
Wow, I was very in this. I do not do that anymore. They get like a nice 6-month refresher at best. Jeez. Unless like something happens and I feel like I need to really refresh them, then I may do it sooner. But like, oh my goodness. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, what's up?
Hi, sorry to bother you. I just realized I'm at school picking up. I just realized I left food, I left meat on the stove. If you could just go upstairs and put it in the oven so that
Yeah.
not just eat it.
Yeah, I'll do that. So my mom left meat on the counter and I had to go clean it. I had to go put it away before the animals ate it. But I'm back. I hope Sally includes that phone call because it was very funny. All right.
Protection spells on my person, probably bi-weekly, once a month.
How was I this on top of things? Bi-weekly? Bro.
One method that I personally use for warding is protection bags. You put protective herbs in there, so a protection sigil or a bit of protection sigil in there, and tether it. Energy tethering is really important and a kind of baseline thing that I recommend everyone does and should look into to my doors. So it protects those.
Did I just say everyone should do protection bags? You don't have to do a protection bag if you don't want to. I understand what I was trying to say, but
doors, that's fine, and they kind of all cross over each other and protect the house itself. I also use energetic wards, and mine include elemental magic when you're warding with the
I don't do that anymore either.
elements. You want to be using things based on the elements. So for water, I have a little jar that includes a specific type of water by my door. I will use this, which is a protective mix. This has rosemary, devil's claw root, and eggshells. And I will place it at 4 corners around my yard, or just spread it around my whole yard, along with black salt on all my windows.
I totally did not write any of this down because I had no idea that I was putting protection mix in the 4 corners of my property. I was like, let me get a coffee. Let me take a coffee break. Okay, didn't write that down.
As earth, for fire, I usually have a protection candle on my desk, and I will light that for most days. It'll be around a lot. I'll turn on one of these protection, and the energetic wards also are tethered to specific things. So I redo the earth one with this mixture.
Once again, talking about tethering energetic wards to things did not explain how to do that. Jeez.
Once a month, water gets changed out once a month. Fire is tethered to the sun, and air, I use a feathered ward. All of these can be done physically. I do most of mine in meditative state or astral.
I did what? Jesus, how much energy did I have? Because they're like, I do all, I just want to know, I just am curious about younger self me. I did my wards in the astral? I'm meditative state, I get, like visualizing, meditation, etc. Fine. Energy work. In the astral, I don't even astral project anymore, babe.
Transmuting my energy into elemental energy, or it sounds really complicated. I know it does, but really look into elemental magic and elemental warding.
It does sound really complicated because it is really complicated, Frankie. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know how to, like, if I looked up transmutation of elemental energy, I don't think I would get a lot. Maybe that's just me. I mean, my practice is so different than it was when I made this video that, like, I'm like, yeah, dude, plant some rosemary, like, throw some dirt in front of your house and you'll be fine. Pray over it. You're good.
And energetic wording, and it will make a little bit more sense. A lot of a few really great protective stones, protective herbs are red jasper, black tourmaline, selenite I keep on all my windowsills.
I'm talking too fast. Okay, I cannot, if I was writing things down here, I wouldn't be able to write it down.
Mugwort, chili peppers, salt on my windowsills, black salt specifically.
I got like a tiny little jar of black salt and made it my whole personality. Black salt is good, but I just use normal salt or ritual salt.
Garlic, onions, rosemary, cloves, and so on and so forth. Even though I'm showing you this little thing, there's a lot more that goes into it than just spreading this around.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, especially with like my protective candle, my wards, it's more than just me meditating and saying, hey, fire, can you help me? It's like a lot of energy work. I have spells other than that too. I say protecting your sacred.
I think I hate myself. I know this is, and here's the thing, this is like good information, I guess, but I'm not giving it enough. Like, there's not enough there. There's no resources, there's no books, there's no like how to. Why does this have 100,000 views? I hope people are laughing at me because this is horrendous.
Space is important because they are. They are a place of power. You need to protect the places where you work the most. So my room has protection on the windowsill. I kind of take all measures possible to protect my space. I have a protection bag on the door. I don't know if you can see it. It's on the hinges. And
you definitely cannot see it at all. The hinges are behind a wall, and I just pointed at a wall.
And Personal protection. You can use personal protection is also broad term jewelry, embroider, carry sigils with you, or you can use specific amulets to ward off evil. I use my cornicello.
Corno. Little did I know, 2 years later, that corno would be one of the biggest things in my practice, and I'd be an Italian-American folk witch. Clearly not this bitch, wearing baby earrings.
My Italian horn to ward off evil, along with other protection charms. All my jewelry is charmed, and the way I do that is I place salt, herbs that match intent, and I put the earrings or the jewelry in there.
That's still a very good thing to do. It's very low energy, it's very low material. I know I said like personal protection, beginner budget, and apartment friendly, but I don't think that most of the things that I've listed so far are budget or apartment friendly. Yeah.
And they stay there until I wear them, and then I place them back in there, and I switch that out once again every month.
Yeah.
I veil whenever outside my house. All my veils.
I do still veil. I still consider myself a veil pagan. I'm a little bit more selective. Try to veil whenever I can. I don't think I veil whenever I leave the house, but I do veil very frequently. I've been less... I'm in a transition period after moving to Colorado, so I use veils for comfort, and when I need that comfort, I go to it.
Include sigils. I have a video on veiling as an empath way back when.
As an empath, baby. We are not an empath. Did I delete that I'm pretty sure I got rid of that video once the empath discourse started happening on TikTok. It's not to say that you can't identify. It was like, I am not comfortable having this still on the internet without any of the nuance that it needs. I also did make a veiling video. It became more of a devotion to my goddess and a devotion to myself and self-worship than it became as an empathetic technique. I don't identify as an empath still. In 2 years, that is what has changed. Part of it is I noticed how the term was being kind of abused, and I also didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't feel like it really explained me. So we're currently in a process of discovery. Going to see doctors and shit. We'll see what happens.
Q&A and empath session. That is more information on veiling. Yeah, I also use protective sigil work in most of my words, spatial or personal, and I can give you an example.
Oh my god, there I go.
This is one of my candles. As you can see, it has sigils on it most days, and to me, this candle directly charges my...
Just curious, why is it purple? Like, did we abandon color magic? Did I write any of this down? Because I don't know why the candle's purple. Is that just what I had on hand? I only use white and black candles for protection, bro.
My fire ward outside, or my elemental ward attached to fire.
Stop tapping it.
Once you do an energy tether, which is basically tethering a spell...
Please stop touching your face. This is how we got acne.
Word, etc., to a specific object, and this is very visual, very meditative. You want to envision things like a rope.
It doesn't have to be visual and meditative. It can be very physical, like I explained, taking some part of the spell or the word and including it in the other part. Sigils also really get great for tethering, or handmade symbols. Put a sigil on a candle that is a ward and use that candle to charge the sigil and bury the sigils around your property. Very basic, not super visual and meditative. You can also use physical string to do that tethering, and that works a lot better and is a lot easier for people with aphantasia and a lot more accessible.
Tying whatever object it is to the specific spell. And I also have plant protection. As I don't know if you can see, I have some red jasper on the bottom. I
do still have plant protection. It's my aloe vera ward. And I think my pitcher plant is also part of my wards. This is a moss jar though. I'm not quite sure what I was expecting the moss to do. Just confusion.
Of this moss jar. So with specific plants, I will put protective stones in them.
This is me when I didn't know how to actually work with plants as allies and was just using plants to use plants, because it's very clear, because like I would never make a moss jar or protective ward now, because to me moss doesn't represent protection, and I'm pretty sure, and depending on the type of moss, it probably won't represent protection. I will however use aloe vera, because I associate aloe vera with protection, growth, sturdiness. It's also one of my sturdiest plants. And my pitcher plant, because pitcher plants catch things like flies.
Plants start wilting or not doing well, I know that something's up with my wards. I actually had a cactus die very painfully when I was
That cactus died because I overwatered it.
And cursed, and then I got sick. A few other things, making protective bags, etc. You want to redo those about every month. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's some questions too that people wanted me to ask, so I'm going to look those up. Look at them. I feel like this is most basic. I'm going to link some books that I think are really great for protection.
Did I link books? I straight up did not. What the fuck?
Magic. And even just looking up wards and how to wards or general wards. Both. I have both. I think
Am I answering
they
questions?
also create protection charms. I had a protection charm for a while that included cinnamon, a feather, and some protective herbs that were all tied together, and that used a knot spell to tie it together. Very basic. I think it's also called a witch's ladder, so you can look up a witch's ladder.
What?
That'll help as well. So I'm gonna pull up the questions that you guys asked, and then I'll answer those. Okay, I pull my questions up. What do you do with your witch's bottle when it stops working? First of all, witch's bottle, great protection method, traditionally uses.
Why didn't I just give a witch's bottle how-to? Do you guys want a witch's bottle how-to? I feel like there's not a lot of information on it.
Bodily fluids. I use fingernails and hair in mine. The goal is to make something like you, or that contains part of you to trap negative spirits. So
Yeah.
when it stops working, it will usually turn black or
It doesn't always turn black. Sometimes it just needs to be changed.
gross and get moldy. And what to do with it, I usually will empty it into like a backyard area or
Don't do that. Okay, all right, don't do that. Because if it's caught something like a negative spirit or a hex, you don't want to empty it on your property. Oy vey. Okay, with witch's bottles, I typically will just like recycle, like get rid of them. And if I would empty them, I empty them off the property in a trash can somewhere else. Like put it in a bag and take it somewhere. And then recycle.
somewhere outside of my wards, and then recycle
I guess kind of outside of wards makes sense, but in the back, don't do that.
the bottle. You do that for most protection spells. I will disassemble them, take them apart, and then recycle or reuse the bottle.
Yeah, disassembling is cool and all, but sometimes you don't want to do that if it's worked. Like, don't open it. Don't fucking open it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a really great method as well that I didn't talk about. Ultra specific wards or general wards. Both. I have both.
Ultra specific or general. Not quite sure what is meant by that. Like, very specific words for specific situations or general words. I would say the more specific, the better. If you're just generally making a word, I mean, the most general you can be is like negativity or hexes or oh well, doesn't get me. But even then, like, more specificity is good.
I think both have their uses. How do you know your protection works, and how do you know you did it right? Good question. If you're using candle magic, you can watch the way the candle burns.
You can.
For me, this protection candle has had some issues and obstacles, as you can tell from the top.
Yeah.
But they look like they've gone away.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice a difference. You'll notice less spirits coming in, less possible negative entities.
Like everyone and their mother can be like, oh, there are less ghosts in this house. Jesus. Okay, watch your spells and how they behave. If you're doing wards, assume they work, except if otherwise. I usually do candle magic or some form of spell that shows me, like, I can read the wax to see how it goes, as well as that. If things are going well and you're not having any like weird like feelings, negative influences, you feel like negativity is happening around you but not in the home, protection's probably doing well. Also, you can divine on it. Use your tarot cards. Throw your bones. Do what you need to do to see how it's going to go. That's a more surefire method than whatever I just said.
And most times, protection, if you have enough of it, will work. Which is why you...
Well, yeah, I guess if you have enough, like, it's kind of like, I really love doing this because I'm just kind of sitting here like, okay. Technically, yeah, if you throw a dart at a board enough times, the dart will probably hit. But if you've never thrown darts in your life and you don't know how to throw them, there's also a chance that every single dart will miss. So protection is less about a huge amount and more about refining your abilities in protection magic and being able to like say, okay, I'm confident this will work. Divining on it, learning from past experiences, seeing what works in your protection and what doesn't. I also have some books that I'll recommend at the end of this video, since I don't know where the fuck I put the books in this.
I use so many. Hexing reversals, return to sender. You just want to look up a basic return to sender spell. You can also do spiky words. Spiky words or return to
What the fuck are spiky words?
sender spell is the best way to reverse a hex. There are a few other ways that are more traditional that
Okay, so spiky wards are just like reflective or return to sender wards. Those also work great.
I do in my Italian folk practice. Those I won't share for personal reasons.
What? I don't know when this was posted, so I can't tell you what I'm talking about. I know I was starting to research, and I started my research and my reconnection with my heritage at this point, but I think like I can see Italian witchcraft by Grimassi in the background. I was not quite an Italian folk practitioner at this point.
But yeah, sneaky about personal protection. Write sigils on a piece of paper and carry it in your pocket. Or
That's good. You can also take charm bags and sew them into your clothes. Plant wards, really great way to be sneaky. Burying things that are, you know, not awful for the earth. Yeah.
embroider your jeans, like embroider pockets, embroider
That's
bags.
kind of good.
That is the best way to stay kind of hidden, especially if you're a closet witch. You can write sigils on paper and place them in very discreet places. Can it ever go wrong? It could not work, but if it doesn't work, you'll probably know because you'll have a negative entity in your space. And
yeah, it can go wrong like everything else in witchcraft. There's a chance that it'll, like, you know, not go terribly wrong. It probably won't go terribly wrong, but also, like, it's witchcraft, baby. Sometimes things happen.
And you'll be like, how did you get in here? What are you doing? And then you just redo it. So I have beginner friendly, budget friendly, and apartment friendly. Beginner friendly, start with protection bags or protection jars. They can be small or big, and you can place them very discreetly. You can place them under your pillow, on your windows. If you're warding a whole house, you can write sigils on paper, bury them in the four corners of your yard, very discreetly.
Okay.
Very beginner friendly. Budget friendly. Sigils on
I don't know if that's beginner friendly. I just kind of gave methods. I didn't give, like, actual spells to do. I think, once again, I think that I'm driving myself crazy with this video because it's so not the format that I like.
On paper in four corners. Most protective herbs are household herbs like rosemary, salt, eggshells. Those
Don't put salt in your yards. It'll kill the soil. Please.
are all things that you should have access to. If not, doing energetic wards in the astral.
If I say energetic wards in the astral one more time, like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, I'm gonna kill myself. I just, like, and this is so specific to 2020 me. On the internet, just got my presents, was like very much still in a place in my craft where I thought I knew where it was going. I thought I knew what I was, not knew what I was doing. I did know what I was doing to a certain extent, but as a content creator, as a witch, I thought my opinion was needed in everything. No, baby. You don't have to talk if you don't know what you're talking about.
Or in a meditative state is also very budget friendly. You don't need any materials.
I talk about this like I've been meditating for years. Bro, we did that for like 3 months and then stopped because I got tired of it.
You just need a candle or something that represents that element.
True.
All you need is a candle of a specific color and sigils written on it, and then you can tie that to.
Okay, so why did we choose purple? Tell me why, because I don't understand.
A bigger ward. Apartment friendly. Sigils on paper. I feel like that's my go-to. And bags. You don't need candles for that. You don't.
I'm literally gonna do a whole entire video on like spells that aren't jars and talk about all the different methods of like stuff you can do, and that will include a lot of non-candle, apartment-friendly options, because I feel like I'm not giving a lot of information here. What else did I talk about? I don't want to watch this.
By doors, windows, etc. Very apartment-friendly.
Go on.
Subtleties. I feel like all of those are pretty subtle.
Yeah, I mean, weird bags by the doors, I wouldn't call that subtle. Nowadays, I would say subtle wards are really good if you are enchanting jewelry, you are sewing things into your clothes, you are carrying things on your person, putting things in your shoes. Oils and waters, also really great way to ward. Just put a little here. I do a little rue cologne every day, or an evil eye oil every day. Veiling, if you are a veiled pagan, if you someone who wears head coverings, you can like put things in it. Carrying things in your bra, another really great way of doing it. Yeah, if you work with spirits and are active in spirit work, like plant work, animal work, carrying something with you from that animal or plant that connects you to them if they are protective helps as well.
If you're a closeted witch, I would use one of those.
Oh, I just went back. Fuck. God damn it. If you are a closeted witch, which I don't know if I love that term, if you are a witch who is not out and open about the practice and you need to hide it, please know that if it's gonna put you in danger for doing it, don't do it. You have your whole life to practice. You do not need to do this right now if it's gonna like put you in danger of losing a home or being homeless, okay?
Do you need to lock your mirrors? Yes. Yeah.
No, you don't. Fuck. What am I talking about? Technically, the only mirrors that are portals are silver-backed. I lock all my mirrors out of habit, but you do not need to lock all your mirrors because it depends on belief. I may just start taking videos down. These are exhausting.
I will link some books that I really like on protection magic and my resources doc, and you can take a look there if you need more information. I hope you...
Okay. Few protection books. Amy Blackthorne just came out with a really great protective book. I love it. Protection and Reversal Magic by Jason Miller is amazing. I feel like a lot of books talk about protection. I talk about protection magic in my book briefly, along with other things. Depending on what tradition you're from and what you're interested in, different books may contain more protection magic than just a book on protection magic, but Jason Miller's Protection and Reversal and Amy Blackthorne's new book, Protection Magic, are my go-tos. Obviously, research plants, saints, deities, spirits that are big on protection if you're interested in that. And yeah, I mean, I've done a house protection spell walkthrough. I've talked about some protection methods within this. I'll talk about make a video about working a 7-day candle or novena and how to do that as well. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's everything. I did my reaction. Why did people subscribe to my shit? Like, what is this? It wasn't visually appealing. It wasn't super informational. Anyways, yeah, I really like didn't give a lot because I thought that was like a pretty good video when I posted it. Yeah. So anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day. That's all I have for you. I'm gonna go cry in a corner because of how bad that was. Remember to drink water and take care of yourself, and have a very good rest of your day. Savanadika.